If you rely on your SASSA grant to cover your monthly expenses, then August 2025 is bringing important changes you simply cannot afford to ignore. From mid-month onwards, specifically starting August 15, 2025, updates to payment dates, adjusted amounts for certain grants, and new administrative rules will come into effect. These changes will impact millions of South Africans, especially pensioners, people with disabilities, and families receiving child support. Let's break down exactly what's changing. First, payment dates have been slightly shifted for August to avoid delays caused by public holidays and system upgrades. This means that your grant may arrive a few days earlier or later than you're used to, and if you aren't prepared, you might miss your collection window or find yourself standing in unnecessary queues. Next, grant amounts for certain categories will reflect the latest cost of living adjustments announced earlier this year. While some seniors will see a small increase in their old age pension, others, particularly those receiving multiple grants, may experience changes due to new means testing rules. This is part of SASSA's ongoing effort to ensure grants reach those most in need, but it also means that your eligibility status could shift if your income or assets have changed. There's also a critical update on banking details. SASSA has tightened verification processes to combat fraudulent claims. If you've recently changed your bank account or received payments through a post office, you need to double-check that your details are up to date. Failure to do so could result in payment delays or temporary suspension until your information is verified. Lastly, new collection point protocols are being introduced from August 15 to reduce overcrowding and improve safety. This includes staggered collection times and stricter ID verification at pay points. By knowing these updates now, you can plan ahead, whether that means confirming your payment date, updating your banking info, or making transport arrangements. Missing a step could mean waiting weeks for your grant, and in today's economy, no senior can afford that kind of delay. This isn't just another reminder, it's your complete, clear guide to navigating SASSA's August 2025 changes so you can make sure you get paid on time and in full. So, now that you know what's changing in August 2025, let's settle in and talk about each of these changes like two friends sharing a cup of rooibos tea on a front porch, because when your social grant is your lifeline, these details matter tremendously. Let's imagine you've just finished watching that hook, and you're tuned in, curious, and maybe a little worried, so let's make sure you walk away reassured, confident, and ready to act. First up, let's talk about the shift in payment dates. You know how every month, you grow accustomed to the rhythm. SASSA pays on a certain date and that shapes everything: your trip to the supermarket, any bus fare you might need ahead of time, perhaps even a small treat like a sweet rusk or a little bit of airtime for your phone. But this time around, SASSA is adjusting some of those dates starting from the 15th of August. I can see you raising an eyebrow. Why the change? Well, remember how public holidays or system updates can throw a spanner in the works? That's exactly the reason. You don't want to stand in a queue thinking, I'm here for my grant, only to discover they've just started paying a day or two earlier or later. So, it's best to call ahead to your local post office or check what your bank's notice says, or even better, check the official SASSA site or give them a quick ring. This way, when the money arrives in your account or becomes available at the pay point, you'll be ready, not rushed, not anxious, just at ease. Now, onto something that always lights up conversations at church hall chats or corner stoop talks: the grant amounts themselves. I know that every rand counts, especially now, and you may have heard that some grants are increasing slightly. Yes, there are adjustments, but it's not the same across the board for everyone. If you're receiving an old age pension, congratulations, you might notice a small bump to help keep pace with rising costs. But, and here's where it gets personal, if you receive more than one grant, or have undergone any changes in income or assets, your means testing profile might shift slightly. It doesn't mean your grant disappears, but it could mean a reassessment. That's why, before payday, it's smart to check your official SASSA letter or log into your My SASSA profile to see your current status. If there's any change, you'll want to understand what it means and whether there's anything you need to do. And if you're unsure about how means testing works, don't worry, I'll walk through that in just a moment, step by step, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. Speaking of walking through steps, let's take a calming breath and talk about banking details. Many of us have changed banks over the years. Maybe the branch you use closed, or maybe you found it easier to use a mobile bank that's just one tap away. But SASSA is tightening up verification procedures to keep everything secure. It's better for fraud prevention, yes, absolutely, but that also means if your account details aren't up to date or properly verified, your payment might stall. Picture this: the money arrives, but it's bounced back because the account number is wrong. Suddenly, you're waiting, maybe making 1 or 2 phone calls or walking back to the post office to fix it, and you've lost time, energy, and patience. So, consider this your friendly reminder check right now. Do you need a SASSA bank confirmation letter? Do you need to re-verify your bank account at your nearest post office or bank branch? Make that small trip or phone call early in August before release days begin. That way, when payment rolls around, it's smooth sailing, or as smooth as the sunny South African coast on a perfect morning. Another thing I want to chat about, it's practical, it's important, is the new protocols at collection points starting from the 15th. If you collect your grant at a pay point rather than through a bank, expect to see some changes. They're doing this to manage crowds better, especially since many folks use the same collection times month after month. Starting mid-August, they may assign staggered timings or ask you to come at different intervals, perhaps based on your ID number or a specific segment code. And don't be surprised if identity checks are more thorough. You might need to hold up your ID, match a biometric scan, or show some proof that you really are who you say you are. These tweaks are for collective safety and smooth service, but if you don't know about them in advance, it could feel like a disruption. So, what's the plan? Before the 15th, go to your pay point or call them and ask, do you have a new schedule? Do I need to come earlier, later, or bring anything extra with me? That small bit of advanced research will save you from standing in a long queue or being turned away because you arrived at the wrong time. That's the difference between a good day and a long, hot, exhausting one. You know, it's easy to feel overwhelmed with all this talk of dates, amounts, means testing, verification, and new rules. That's why I want to slow down and talk with you like someone who remembers the old days when things felt simpler, even if they weren't, and tell you, you're not in this alone. If you've got a neighbor who's also retired, perhaps you can check in on each other. If someone isn't comfortable using online tools, maybe a grandson or granddaughter could help you log into SASSA or send you a screenshot of your grant updates. And if someone doesn't have a bank account or recently changed it because their branch closed, this is the time to make sure they're properly set up. Talk to your local social worker or community center. They might even have a SASSA liaison who can help you with the updates, forms, or verifications. That kind of communal spirit, that caring, knowing look that says, I've been there, and I'll help you through it, is priceless. Let's revisit the means testing conversation I mentioned earlier. It may sound technical, but it really comes down to fairness. The system assesses your income and assets to ensure grants go to those who need them most. In practical terms, if you've done things like invest in a savings account, have a family member paying you rent, or you've received an inheritance or lump sum payment, it might affect your means test, even if only slightly. From August 15th, SASSA may start reassessing certain cases. If your situation changed between your last application and now, you might be asked to submit an update or even supporting documents like bank statements or confirmation letters. Don't panic, that just means they're being thorough. If you get such a request, gather what you can and take it to your nearest SASSA office. They're used to helping seniors navigate this, and if you explain that you weren't expecting it, they'll likely help you sort it right then and there, so you can keep your grant flowing without delay. And while we're talking about documents, let's speak plainly, keep your ID safe. If it's lost or damaged, get a replacement before mid-August. Pay points and banks will want to match that ID to their records, and without it, they can't release your money. So, if you've noticed any wear and tear on your ID booklet, especially those old laminated ones, consider booking an appointment at your nearest Home Affairs office. It might not be glamorous, but once it's done, your money will reach you, and that's what matters most. You might be thinking, what else should I keep in mind? Well, how about this? Keep your phone number updated with SASSA or your local branch, just in case they need to contact you about changes in your grant, like, your payment is ready, or, we need more info. I know, we all worry about spam calls, but if a SASSA number rings, it might be exactly what you're waiting for. Listen carefully. And if they've asked you to come in by a certain date, honor it, don't delay. If you're not sure, just call again and ask. You know, when we slow down enough to talk about these things, like payment dates, amount adjustments, verification, collection protocols, means testing, ID, phone numbers, it all starts to feel less scary. It becomes something you can manage, step by step. That's why I want to relieve that worry by helping you plan, by giving you simple instructions: check your date, verify your bank details early, check for amount changes on SASSA or in your letter, ask about new pay point timings, gather documents if needed, ensure your ID is intact, and stay open to communication from SASSA. Thank you for staying with me through all these details. You're doing the right thing by tuning in, and by taking these steps, you're setting yourself up for a worry-free August payday. Let's keep looking out for each other, keep checking, keep asking questions, and make sure every single one of us gets paid, on time, in full, and without fuss. Because when you're secure, we all breathe easier.